I never knew nothing about human trafficking. I never knew that I was being exploited. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, this is what's happening to me. It's something that I thought was normal.
80,000 reported missing people on any given day in the United States. At the same time, there are over 10,000 unidentified bodies. There is no national law requiring agencies to share this information, leaving many families in the dark about their loved one's fate.
Today, family and volunteers, they reported cadaver dogs detected a few locations where human remains might have been buried.
You could have a body that was on one side of a county line, and the next county could have had that individual reported as missing, and no one may have talked to each other.
And we just haven't forgotten, and we're not going to stop until we know what happened.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Gone Missing Pod. My name is Nicole Mercado, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Alyssa Gutierrez.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going? It's been a while.
I know. I feel like a whole new person.
I bet you do.
It's a whole new world, Nicole.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? The break and the time off and the lots of self-care and me time and beach days has just been fantastic. So I have all this energy and, we might as well use it before I lose it.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad. Yeah, we had a little bit of a break. We took some time and then I got COVID.
Yes.
So did producer Mike.
Yes. Alyssa was spared. Yay. Because we were all at the same event.
Yes. We're not even sure if that's where it happened because then we also had some friends who got it who did not go to the same event.
Well, everybody.
And that's what I'm saying. And the school that I work at, there's like 2 different outbreaks. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just right now, I feel like everyone's just getting it. And thankfully, like we did not have terrible symptoms, but yeah, it definitely threw a wrench in our plans because we were moving and doing that and trying to just get organized. So that was kind
celebrating your marriage.
Yeah. There was just lots of things happening at once. And that was a real fun time for me. So today let's get into it because while we are back to recording, we also are really trying to be better about our time management. And I think Alyssa and I both we do a lot of work during the week and we do a lot of work with research and podcasting and all of the things. So you will still get your episodes, but we're going to try and make sure we just, get to it
short,
for you guys.
Sweet, and to the point.
Yes, short, sweet, and to the point. So let's get into it. So the woman that we are going to be talking about today is currently 35-year-old Pah Pow. Pah was last seen near her home in the 1000th block of 7th Avenue, Southeast Aberdeen, South Dakota on April 17th, 2016. At the time that she went missing, she was 30 years old. She would be 35 today. Her husband had taken their youngest son, who was one. I think when I was reading some of the other reports, it said like closer to a year and a half, but then they start getting into the months and that kind of thing. So just their youngest son was about 1 and her husband took him to the park and returned home at 7 p.m. When he returned home, she was gone.
Oh my goodness.
The couple's 10-year-old son was at the house and told his father that she had left in a car with a man who he recognized but did not know his name. Pah then never showed up for her shift at the DemKota Beef Plant and has never been heard from again. Her husband did report her missing more than a week later. However, it was caused because of miscommunication. Something to note here is that both Pah and her husband are native of Thailand. They had only moved to the States a few years before this. So there's a communication barrier between her and her job. And then it seems there was a miscommunication with how her husband had received information from the family. The family actually thought she was staying with friends, and friends thought she was staying with family.
Oh,
so it seems that when she went missing, this was already like a planned kind of I'm not going to be around thing. And that's why it took people almost a week to realize she went missing, because then she missed work. And work was the one who alerted people, hey, she did not show up.
So Okay, but where does the husband fit into all that? Like,
It's
if
okay.
if
We'll kind of get
so,
into it a little bit.
okay, I have so many questions.
Yes. So, like I said, they're natives of Thailand and lived in Lincoln, Nebraska when they first moved to the US, but then moved to Aberdeen about 2 years prior to her disappearance. However, a few months after she went missing, her husband did move himself and the kids back to Lincoln, Nebraska. I think he probably felt more comfortable there. They had more of a base there. It seems like that was more, where they felt at home. And I apologize. I think I said they had moved there 2 years before. I meant they had moved to this area 2 years before. I'm not quite sure how long they had been in the States. However, I know that they mentioned several times that Pa did not have very good English skills, which caused some issues for her at work. Her
Okay.
husband did say that they had been arguing prior to her disappearance, and that when Pa had started working at the beef plant a few months before, she also had gotten a boyfriend after she got the new job.
So
She
it kind
was
of seems like they weren't in an unhappy marriage.
right. They were in an unhappy marriage, and it seems that she has before left for a few days at a time when they would argue
Okay.
and then would return home. So I think that's why he didn't notice that she was missing, because when he communicated with family, the family said she was with friends, the friends said she was with family. So he did not necessarily know where she was, or maybe if she was just trying to do her own thing.
Right. I mean, it sounds like they at least had that level of communication where, okay, I'm frustrated, I'm leaving. Obviously, she trusted, the children with her husband, and he
It
was
seems like
like,
he was an
okay,
active father.
did you say an active father?
Yeah, it seems like
Okay.
he was an active father.
That's what I
So,
mean. Like, they at least seem to be a team for their children. So
yes,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they communicated for her. It's like, I need space. I need a break. I'm leaving. And he's like, okay, the fort is held down. It's okay that you're gone. And so I can see why he wasn't alarmed.
exactly. So, her husband, like I said, mentioned that they had been arguing. There was a lot of things happening. And then she blocked her husband on Facebook, which really upset him. So she was not able to communicate with her through Facebook. So if she wasn't answering the phone, Facebook, nothing, she would just kind of block all contact with him when she wasn't speaking to him. So when she left, he just assumed that she would show back up home until she didn't. At the time that she went missing, their youngest child was 17 months old, and their oldest child was 10, and then they had two other kids that were 8 and 5. So they had 4 children, and fairly young children, which also caused a lot of problems because when she went missing, there was no one around to help care for the youngest. He didn't go to school, he wasn't in daycare, they couldn't afford any of that. So there was nowhere for him to go. So it's like this weird dynamic, right? Because there's no assistance.
Yeah, that has to be really frustrating. And I don't know, like, how do you remain positive instead of hopeless to take care of your children during these hardships?
That's kind of the thing, right? Like, I just don't think that I don't think that, I think that's why he moved. I personally think that's why he moved back, was because they probably had more of a home base and more support back in Nebraska.
Right.
When speaking to her husband, he mentioned that Pa had a history of seizures when she got upset. I'm assuming it has to do with like what's mentioned in kind of the Charlie Project report, is that she had both anxiety and depression. And so I think maybe when she just got overwhelmed, she was unable to really, like she was unable to, what's the word?
Function
Yeah,
or
function. There's a word I'm thinking of, regulating. There we go. Of like regulating herself and regulating her emotions. And like that unfortunately can become, I feel like people forget that mental health can become physical health issues.
Yeah, 100%.
Talking to her job, because they did end up speaking to her job and kind of trying to figure out what happened, how did they figure things out. Her boss actually said that like she did speak very little English, so there was a lot of trouble like understanding. And he used an example when there was an afternoon when she had mentioned, hey, you need to go to the human resource office to fill out some paperwork for insurance, and Pa just kind of smiled and nodded but didn't move.
Oh, so yeah, it could, like there wasn't processing
Right.
happening.
So
Okay.
if she went with this person, I'm assuming this person spoke her language,
Mm-hmm.
because
Possibly.
otherwise,
Mhm.
how would they have communicated? And then what happened after that? Because she's not able to effectively communicate
Communicate.
in English. And
Or
like,
necessarily advocate for herself if she's having
right.
difficulty processing, regulating, so on.
And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine that South Dakota is like, has a huge population of people who speak her language.
Right. I mean, it definitely seems like they were, the beef plant is probably the major employer in that area. And I'm sure the beef plant could have sponsored them to get their visa. You know what I mean? It's one of
Yeah.
those communities where a corporation is bringing in labor from abroad. That's just as my suspicion. It's not, who knows, but it definitely leaves her vulnerable.
Absolutely. And they did say that like it was very uncharacteristic of her to leave without warning, and there is massive concern for her welfare. But it was determined, because I know I mentioned the boyfriend, and it's probably like obvious choice, right? Did the boyfriend do it? Did the husband do it? Like those are our two main ones. But they did determine she was not with her boyfriend and had not been in touch with him or her relatives in Nebraska or Thailand since she went missing. She also left all of her belongings at home, and her phone turned off since her disappearance and has not been turned back on.
Yeah, wow. That just sounds so crazy. I guess my only I wonder how this person knew to go at that time when she was the most vulnerable.
I mean, I feel like this must be someone that she knows, right? Because her son mentions that he recognized the man, even though he didn't know his name.
Right. It could have been somebody from work,
That's what I'm saying. Could
somebody
have been
from the
someone she
plant,
worked with.
if they walked there together, rode there together, or, you know, something
We're
like
just
that.
friendly. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, they could have just known each other and had like some communication. It's just super bizarre to me because her son says, no, I know this guy. Like, I just don't know who he is. Then for her to just like go missing from someone that's recognizable, that kind of blows my mind, because it's like, who is this person? And also the son recognized you. So it's someone that people know. And like,
Well,
my
it's
thing
someone
is,
in their community. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Whether it's work community or where they live community.
And my confusion is like, if you're not involved, why wouldn't you come forward to say, like at the time, not now, because I'm sure now you'd be like, oh, well, like it looks suspicious. Well, yeah, it does look suspicious because it's been almost 6 years.
I mean, to be honest, do you think that that person it could be not in tune with American news, not
Yeah,
paying
but I feel
attention?
like in general, like her work was aware. So I'm sure people at work were aware.
You're right. Okay. Yeah, good point.
So like that's bizarre to me. And then like, I don't know. It's very interesting. So she went missing, and I apologize. It's 6 years ago. I keep thinking 2021, and it is not 2021 anymore. It is 2022.
Close enough now. We're just shooting for ballpark.
Right, exactly. So she went missing on April 17th, 2016 from Aberdeen, South Dakota. She was 30 years old when she went missing. So she's 35 or 36 today, just depending on birth date. She was about 5'2" and 110 pounds when she went missing. And she went missing. She was wearing a white shirt, blue jeans, pink sneakers, a silver ring, and a silver necklace with a silver heart. She does suffer from both anxiety and depression. And she's an Asian female with dark brown hair, brown eyes, and a native of Thailand. She's primarily speaks Thai and something called Karen. Karen, something like that. I'm not really sure, and I don't want to mispronounce. Her English is super limited, and 4 of her teeth are missing, and 5 of them have had dental restorations. So there are some distinguishing features about her, but I guess it's like it's super concerning to me because they do mention multiple times that her English in like every article I read is very, very limited. Right. So if she was out, that doesn't necessarily mean that she would be able to communicate effectively.
Right.
Or like you said, or advocate for herself or be able to tell someone I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm just very concerned about who is this person, right? Who is this person that took her, that her son recognized, that clearly is a member of the community and didn't feel the need to come forward to say anything.
Right. That's just very suspicious to me. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
know about you, but I'm suspecting trafficking.
I mean, possibly, or just like meeting someone that is not a good person and did something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they say a lot of the times, right, that like it's someone that you know, even if it's mostly like an acquaintance,
Yeah.
not necessarily someone you're in a relationship with, but an acquaintance. And it's just like, this could have been an acquaintance. I have no idea. So I got the majority of my information from the Aberdeen News. They were the ones who actually referred to the Aberdeen Police Department at 605-626-7003 as the place to call if you have absolutely any information about Pah. The Aberdeen Police Department did seem to put out as much information as they could. I don't know if they just don't have any further information. Unfortunately, I feel like with kids, it's hard to necessarily get like a sketch artist or anything like that because I feel like kids are very suggestible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did they have brown hair? Well, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's always like a really difficult position for anyone to be in when you're asking a child. But I also got the rest of my information from the Charlie Project, who mentioned the other stuff about like her anxiety and depression. And like, I think we also don't know where she was in that kind of place, where she was, how she was feeling with her depression and anxiety, if that was kind of what sparked the desire to leave originally and then wanting to maybe come back and not being able to.
Right. Right.
So I think that's kind of where it's just such a bizarre story.
I was going to say, yeah, this is a really unique case. I don't think we've covered anything like this in the past, nearly 2 years that we've been doing this.
It was very strange because it seems like there's a lot of factors that would lead to be like, okay, maybe she would want to leave. But then with already so many conflicting reports about like who she was as a person, she cared about her kids. She wanted, made sure their well-being. They were with their dad. Like it seemed like they co-parented for the kids' sake, if not anything else. You know what I mean? And then she always came back. It just, to leave everything, that seems odd to me. She didn't speak English. Like there's just too many factors.
Left. I don't think she, I don't know. Not
like I said, I wonder if maybe she wanted to get away for a little bit. Maybe she was going through an anxiety spiral or a depression fluctuation, but wanted to come back and couldn't. And it could be due to a multitude of reasons, right? Like we've seen cases where like we've seen people who have unfortunately been addicts, gone off with somebody that they shouldn't have, who took advantage of them in that situation. And I feel like that could be a possibility as well. We just don't know. And I think that's the frustrating thing when we do these cases is like, it's so hard when we see these cases and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. But this one to me is so bizarre because it's like, we really just have no idea because there's so many factors that I don't think even unless we actually know what happened, we would never even be able to guess what happened.
Right. Well, either way, the important part is that we were able to talk about her so that the whole community can join us in speculating and looking for her.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much, Alyssa, for joining me this week. I really wanted to talk about Pah and her, like just, her life and get some answers for her family, for her children, especially. Her youngest was only about 1.5 years when she went missing. And that like has no memories of their mom.
Right. Yeah. He'll never know. He'll never, remember being with his mom. He'll know of her, but that's really sad.
Yeah. So I really just wanted to talk about her and her case and hopefully get some answers for her family. So thank you so much, Alyssa. Thank you, everyone. We know it's been a few weeks. We're so glad to be back and we're so grateful for this community. Thank you to producer Mike for making us sound awesome, even, when we have a very interesting setup because we haven't been able to set anything up since the move. And, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us anywhere on the socials, on Facebook at the Gone Missing Podcast, and on Instagram and Twitter at the Gone Missing Pod. We're so appreciative for you guys. We love you all, and we will catch you guys next week on our case. Bye.